Obinna had arranged to meet his mother at a secret spot outside the palace gate. They had planned everything carefully so they could make their escape together. As Obinna hurried through the streets of the village, he kept his head down, hoping that no one would recognize him. With his heart pounding in his chest, Obinna crept through the darkened corridors of the palace, careful to avoid the guards patrolling the halls. He had to be sneaky, like a mouse tiptoeing through a quiet house. Finally, after what felt like hours, Obinna made it outside the palace walls. He took a deep breath of fresh air, feeling a sense of freedom wash over him. But he knew that he couldn't relax just yet. He still had to find his mother. Obinna had arranged to meet his mother at a secret spot outside the palace gate. They had planned everything carefully so they could make their escape together. As Obinna hurried through the streets of the village, he kept his head down, hoping that no one would recognize him, sneaking past obstacles and dodging danger at every turn. Finally, he reached the spot where he was supposed to meet his mother. And there she was, waiting for him with open arms. Obinna's heart swelled with joy as he ran to her, wrapping her in a tight hug. Together, they fled from the village, leaving behind their troubled past and setting out on a journey to reclaim their freedom. They traveled through forests and over mountains, their spirits buoyed by the hope of a better life ahead. But as they journeyed on, they couldn't shake the feeling of the king's wrath was following them. They heard rumors of bounty hunters searching for Obinna. Obinna and his mother pressed on, their determination unshakable. They knew that they couldn't go back to the palace, couldn't go back to the life they had left behind. They had tasted freedom and they would do whatever it took to hold on to it. And so, hand in hand, they journeyed onward, their hearts filled with hope and their eyes fixed on the horizon. For they knew that no matter what danger lies ahead, they would face them together as a family, united in their quest for a better tomorrow. After escaping from the king's palace, Obinna and his mother found themselves a new home, far away from the troubles of their past. Here, the people were kind and welcoming. Obinna and Adanna settled into their new life with a sense of relief and gratitude. They felt like they had finally found a place where they could be happy and at peace. And as they looked around at their new surroundings, they knew that they were home. Even though they were far from the king's influence, Obinna couldn't shake the feeling that he still had a purpose to fulfill. He knew that his gift of foresight was meant for more than just serving the ambitions of a selfish king. He wanted to use it for good, to help those in need, and to bring hope and healing to the world around him. And so, with a newfound sense of purpose burning in his heart, Obinna set out to make a difference in his new community. He used his gift to warn the villagers of impending danger, to help them prepare for storms and floods, and to guide them in times of uncertainty. At first, the villagers were skeptical of Obinna's ability. They had never seen anything like it before, and they didn't know if they could trust him. But as time went on, and Obinna's predictions proved to be true, they began to see him as a hero, a beacon of hope in a world filled with darkness. Obinna's gifts brought healing and renewal to those who needed it most. He helped farmers save their crops from pests and diseases, guided lost travelers safely home, and even predicted the birth of new babies before they were born. Perhaps the only important thing that Obinna did was to inspire others to believe in themselves and their own abilities. He showed them that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always a chance for redemption and renewal. And as the years went by, Obinna and Adanna lived out their days in peace and contentment, surrounded by the love and gratitude of their new community. They knew that they had found their true home, and they were grateful for every moment of it. For in the end, They had learned that the true redemption comes not from running away from the past, but from facing it head on and using it to build a better future. In the kingdom where Obinna once lived, things started to change. You see, without Obinna there to help him, the king's power began to weaken. People were tired of living under his oppressive rule, and they started to stand up for themselves. Neighboring villages who had once been afraid of the king's wrath began to unite against him. They joined forces, forming an alliance to fight against the tyranny that had plagued their land for so long. The king tried to hold on to his power, but it was no use. The people were fed up with being treated unfairly, and they were determined to bring about change no matter the cost. As the tides of war turned, the king's downfall became inevitable. His army was no match for the united forces of the neighboring villages, and one by one, his defenses crumbled. Finally, a day came when the king was forced to face justice for his crimes. He was brought before the people, his crown stripped from his head, and his throne taken away. And as he stood there, surrounded by those he had wronged, he knew that his reign of tyranny was finally at an end. But justice wasn't just about punishing the king for his crimes. It was also about bringing healing and renewal to the kingdom. With the king gone, the people were free to build their lives and their communities, to create better future for themselves and their children. And as they worked together to heal the wounds of the past and build a brighter tomorrow, they never forgot the role that Obinna had played in their journey. For it was his bravery and his courage that had inspired them to stand up for what was right, to fight against injustice and oppression, and never to lose hope, even in the darkest of times. And so, as the sun set on the kingdom once ruled by a tyrant, a new era dawned, an era of freedom, of justice, and of peace. Even though Obinna was far away, his spirit lived on in the hearts of those he had helped, a shining beacon of hope in a world that had once been consumed by darkness. The most important thing about Obinna's legacy was the way he inspired others to do good in their own lives. People looked up to him, not just for his gifts, but for his kindness, his compassion, and courage in the face of adversity. So, my dear friends, what can we learn from Obinna's story? Well, perhaps it is this, that no matter how small or insignificant we may feel, each of us has the power to make a difference in the world, whether through a special gift like Obinna's foresight or simply through acts of kindness and compassion. We all have the ability to bring light into darkness, to inspire hope where there is despair, and to leave behind a legacy of love that will endure long after we are gone. So, let us remember Obinna's story and let it serve as a reminder to always choose the path of righteousness, to use our gifts for good, and never to lose hope even in the darkest of time. For it is through our actions, both big and small, that we can truly make the world a better place for all.